listening to the DolphinsTalk.com podcast, the longest-running Miami Dolphins podcast on the internet.
We're always in control, and when you say Miami, you're talking to the ball. 'Cause we're the Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins #1.
Hello, Miami Dolphins fans, and thank you for tuning into this breaking news audio on Monday, January the 19th. The Miami Dolphins have just announced, well, it's been reported by Adam Schefter and Tom Pelissero that the Miami Dolphins are hiring Jeff Hafley to be their head coach, the next head coach of the Miami Dolphins. So not a surprise. This has sort of been spoken about for about a week now. Many thought it happened the past 24 hours. Many thought it would happen today, and it has. Jeff Hafley, the next head coach of the Miami Dolphins. Joining me is David Bierman with Betting with Bierman. Dave, what are your first thoughts on this?
Well, like you said, not a surprise. You know, the minute that John Eric got the job, we figured he'd get his man. That was the Green Bay connection. We talked about it a few weeks ago. I'm okay with it. I'm not blown away by it, but I came to accept it. Last time we chatted, I read one of the articles that was written on DolphinsTalk.com, kind of changing some of the narratives that are out there on him. Listen, you know what I wanted. I made it crystal clear on all the socials. I wanted someone with head coaching experience. Last 6 times the Dolphins hired someone with no head coaching experience. They combined for the same number of playoff wins you and I have. That said, he sort of has head coaching experience. He did get it at Boston College. So he has run the ship before. So I at least like that part. Does he have head coaching experience in the NFL? No. But they didn't go after those guys other than Harbaugh, allegedly. So I can tell you that.
Those guys also didn't want to come here either. It is
Correct.
A two-way street. They didn't want to come
Correct.
here.
Yeah, and I didn't think from the beginning they were going to get him because I had no reason why he would accept that job over a job that looks better. That being said, Hafley does have head coaching experience at the college level. He's done defensive coordinator. He's got good numbers at Green Bay. I feel better than I felt the day, ironically, same thing happened many years ago when we were at the national championship game in Phoenix and the Dolphins hired Adam Gase. I knew from day one that was a bad hire. I felt that way from day one that Adam Gase would never work out. McDaniel was all right, interesting, prove it. He comes with a whole lot of great PR behind him. And I've heard the same thing about Hafley, just not necessarily on social media, but from people in the National Football League and executives in the National Football League and players in the National Football League. He comes highly recommended, just like Mike McDaniel did. So whether we can change what the Dolphins have done with first-year NFL head coaches is yet to be determined. Maybe it's a common middle ground. You go from Shula, Jimmy, and Wani, all second-time head coaches, to 6 straight non-head coaches. Maybe this is a common middle ground. Listen, whoever took this job is going to have a problem in 2026 to begin with. You're planning for 2027 at this point.
Yeah, 100%. And before we go any further, just want to give a shout out to the sponsor of today's show, Caneswear. Everyone go to caneswear.com for the best and most affordable Miami Dolphins apparel, the Miami Hurricanes apparel, Florida Panthers, Heat, and Marlins. Caneswear.com, caneswear.com. Also, super chats are open. I see we got a lively chat. If you want me to read your comment or question on the air, if you want to vent, you want to say you love the hire, hate the hire, super chats. If you're watching this live on YouTube, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. I think, you know, it's not a shock, like I said. I know a lot of fans aren't going to be happy with this, but I have no problem with the hire. Hafley's more qualified. He's more than qualified, I should say. And every team that he met with, you know, and he did meet with every team that had an opening, and most of them wanted to meet with him twice. So that says something. I always take the approach, everyone can't be wrong. I mean, sometimes they are, but, you know, in this instance, I don't think everyone can be wrong. He brings stability. You know, the clown show that was Chris Greer refusing to talk to the media, Mike McDaniel, one day closer to death and worrying about the shoes and the watch. Like, that shit's over with. This guy's just a football guy. He brings stability, I think. For those who are just saying John Eric Sullivan's hiring his friend, yeah, okay, so what? That's what the NFL is built off of. That's what NFL people do. Yeah, that's what the world's built off of. You hire people you know.
I mean, Jerry Jones hired his friend from college, Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah, how that worked out.
Well.
It happens all the time. And I'd rather have two guys who share the same vision, who know they can work together, who are on the same page, instead of John Eric Sullivan running out there, hiring somebody he never met before, and in 6 months they can't agree on what to have for lunch, let alone who to take in the draft or who to hire as the offensive coordinator. So I'd rather have this. And plus, as I said, who else is out there? Harbaugh wasn't coming here. Stefanski didn't come here. Mike McCarthy didn't even want to interview for the job. And everyone's going to say Sean McDermott. And folks, spoil, he probably wouldn't come here either, like those other names who are more accomplished, because he's going to look at our situation. No quarterback, salary cap's a mess, roster's got like 3 guys that you really like. And you go, I can go to the Raiders, get the top pick of the draft, have Mendoza, and be fine. I can go to Cleveland, 2 picks in round 1, and it's like way better spot than Miami even in some ways. I can go to Pittsburgh or the Ravens. Don't need to say any more than that. Like, I don't think he was coming here. So you could have let him walk out today, Hafley, and go chase Sean McDermott, then find out, and, 6 days, Sean McDermott, yeah, I'm not going there, guys. Then what? You probably lost out on Hafley, lost out on McDermott. You have a new GM, who's on the job for what? A week, 10 days, already down to his 3rd choice. That's not a good way to start your career as a GM. And plus, I just think this guy he's a solid football coach. I'm not saying he's going to be great. Let's go over some of his resume here real quick for those who don't know. Boston College, you can start at Ohio State. He was a co-defensive coordinator there in 2019. They lost 1 game. Points per game they gave up. And I know it's Ohio State, but still 21-0, 10-5, 7-10, 3-7, 14, 21-17, 27-21. I mean, they barely gave up any points that year. I mean, they didn't give up more than 3 touchdowns one time. I mean, they gave up in most games, it's 10-5, 7-0, 3. So he was successful there. He goes to Boston College. Boston College, it's impossible to win there with no NIL money. And he finished that year. He was hired his first year. He finished year 1 with the most wins of any first-year head coach that year in college football. He took the Boston College defense. They improved 52 spots, just on that side of the ball alone. His second year, passing, they were ranked 3rd nationally in passing defense, only giving up 173.5 yards a game. Again, this is Boston College, folks, not Alabama, not Ohio State. Also in that year, they were ranked top 30 nationally in 6 other meaningful categories on defense. His team that year led the ACC in fewest penalties and fewest penalty yards. Okay, in 4 seasons at Boston College, he oversaw the 3 best recruiting classes in program history. They've had Doug Flutie and Matt Ryan there. He's overseen the 3 best recruiting classes in Boston College history. They went to a bowl game 3 or 4 years. The 1 year they missed, they lost all 5 starters on the offensive line, and the quarterback, much like ours this year, regressed to a point where nobody could win with him. It happens. It's not the end of the world. And then you look at his time with the Packers. I mean, his time with the Packers is really impressive when you go there. His first year with the Packers, 2024, they jumped from 17 to 5th in total defense, 6th in scoring defense. They had 31 takeaways, tied for 4th best in the NFL. It was the biggest 1-year improvement in the league in 2024 on defense. In DVOA, they jumped from 27th to 7th overall on defense. Run defense, 26th to 7th. Finished 7th in rushing yards allowed per game. I can keep going. This past season, out of their 8 losses, 6 came by a total of 25 points, 4 by 4 points or less, and 2 by 6 points or less. Everyone talks about the playoff game. Oh my God, they choked. In that playoff game, they blew it. Through 3 quarters, he held the Bears to 6 points. I mean, if you want to nitpick some of this stuff, you can, I guess. But this guy's more than accomplished on both levels for what he's done. And someone's saying here, Mike, you're trying to convince yourself. No, I'm not. I'm convinced. I have been convinced for a week because I did my research long before most fans of Dolphins knew this guy's name. When I do my show every Tuesday night with Josh Moser, I mentioned Jeff Hafley in October because I knew he was done, McDaniel. I keep an eye on Hafley. He's going to get a job. So I'm not trying to convince myself. I knew this was a possibility, and I'm fine with it. Was he my top choice? No, but I'm okay with it because you don't always get your top choice in life.
Yeah, you don't get your top choice, and obviously Dolphin social media is going to be up in arms because they're not going to be happy to begin with. And it's not like you were going to get John Harbaugh. He didn't want to come here. Mike McCarthy didn't want to interview here. Everyone's screaming for Mike Tomlin. The guy's not coaching next year. Sean McDermott, it's been how many? 7 hours since he's been fired. And if you're trusting the GM, which I understand is a tough message for Dolphin fans who have had the same GM in charge for the last 2 decades, accomplish absolutely nothing. But if you're trusting the GM who comes with a lot of recommendations and a lot of good comments from other NFL executives and other players, then you got to trust his choice at this point. It's his job. It's his job on the line. He's the one making his first hire guy in charge of the Dolphins. So to me, I trust him. It's his guy. You're going to bring in your own guy. That's what happens in sports. It happens all across the board. This is of zero surprise to me. I thought maybe if the Packers got rid of LaFleur, it could have been him. But you know what? I'd rather have Hafley than LaFleur. Anybody who, I mean, we're talking about watching Packer games and evaluating these guys. I'm not blaming Hafley for what happened in that Packers game. First of all, the offense went 3 and out every single time in the second half.
That's the problem. That's the real problem.
The time management was awful. The play calling was awful. So I made the decision after watching the Packers-Bears game that I wanted nothing to do with Matt LaFleur anymore. And I was rooting for the Bears in a game that I thought maybe it would get us LaFleur. But when that game was over, I'm like, if I wanted someone to mismanage the clock, call bad plays, waste timeouts, and get conservative, we could have just kept Mike McDaniel. I mean, that's what we had. So I was out on LaFleur. As for his DC, you said all the numbers. I don't need to repeat them. I think there is a misunderstanding of what happened at Boston College. He took a Boston College job, or any job at that point, at the exact worst time, coming in right before COVID. And you got the COVID season, and he did great. I mean, they were right there. And then the season afterwards, and it went downhill. The quarterback regressed. That's what happens when you're not the top team in the ACC. But look at what's happened at Boston College since then. You got a former NFL coach coaching
2 games this year.
In the last 2 years. 2 wins. So what Hafley did was better than what Bill O'Brien did, and everybody loves Bill O'Brien. So I'm okay with it. Again, there was not going to be anybody that was going to blow me away unless we got John Harbaugh or Mike Tomlin. That's who you and I discussed this in October when I said there's a real possibility that all 4 AFC North coaches are on the market. I would take any of the 4. I would have. That said, you're not going to get those guys. And I am okay with, listen, you want a no-nonsense coach who cares about football, you got one. You have a guy who has made his defense better every single place he's gone, you got one. You want someone who can take control of a team and be a leader in the clubhouse and not worry about a watch or shoes or what the players' feelings are, you got one. Can that translate to wins? If I knew that, I'd be the head coach.
Yeah, we'll find out.
No.
Yeah, we'll find out. And here's the deal, too. You know, this what sort of really makes me laugh sometimes when I see some in the fan base. I see some in our chat today, and, you know, some fans are being level-headed, some fans over the top, but I see them on social media all the time. It's like, oh, it's another first-year head coach. Yeah, here's the difference. Chris Greer didn't hire this one.
Correct.
He had no say in this one. He wasn't in the meetings in this one. He didn't put together the list in this one. Some fans of Dolphins are so scarred and burned, they just got to like, dude, relax, man. Relax. And because here's why. And this was a tweet put out yesterday by Dave Hyde, the Sun Sentinel. 4 games this past weekend, 8 teams. You know how many of those teams had a first-time head coach still at their job? 6. Just because Miami has screwed up hiring first-time head coaches in the past doesn't mean it doesn't work. Everyone except for Sean Payton and Mike Vrabel was a first-time head coach still at their first job. You can have success hiring first-time head coaches. You just got to hire the right one. Just because you strike out once doesn't mean you stop swinging the bat your next time you're at the plate. You keep trying. So I have no problem with that. And when, you know, push comes to shove, I mean, people say, you know, here's the 2 other funny things. We'll hire Chris Shula. Why? Just because of his last name? Hafley's got a stronger resume than Shula. Correct. He just does. Okay. The
amount of people that either reached out to me on Twitter yesterday or text message yesterday and said, you got to hire Shula. I'd be like, why? Because of his last name. Now, if he was the best guy for the job, that's fine. But he's not. He's just not.
Yeah.
So here's the thing about the first-time head coach. First of all, everybody is a first-time head coach at one point. And you're right about getting the right guy. Now, did I want someone with head coaching experience? Yes, because that has worked in Miami as opposed to when it hasn't. But this is a guy who has been a head coach. Now, is it a head coach of an NFL team? No, but he's been there as a DC of an NFL team and a head coach somewhere. That means he has made the decisions. He stood up there in front of an organization. He has been a head coach. That's fine. Again, it could be a common middle ground here. He has not been an NFL head coach, but he has worked with the best. And it all comes down to the right system with the right coach. And the Dolphins have had a flawed system for 25 years. This is a brand new system, brand new GM, probably going to be a brand new quarterback, brand new wide receiver, and now a brand new head coach. And is it the guy at the top of all of our lists when we said midseason we want to get rid of McDaniel? No. But the more I studied it, the more I read on it, the guy has the resume of someone who deserves a shot. And I'm happy with it because, again, he's going to know the GM. They're going to be on the same page. That's one thing
that's
that
half the battle right
Dolphins
there. That's half
have
the battle.
not had in 25 years. Is been on the same page. It's been the GM. It's been the president, VP. It's Tannenbaum. It's this guy. It's that guy. It's Donna Ponte. It's someone different. Now this is a reset. New GM, new coach, new quarterback. Let's go.
And if they both stink in 3 to 4 years, you fire them, you try it again. That's how this works. The days of keeping one, not keeping. Look, they're tied at the hip now, folks. Okay, it's not like, well, one's here, he just got here. Well, we'll fire the other one. If it doesn't work next year, then we'll keep you. No. They're both starting at the same clock. This is how this league works. This is how success happens. I'm not saying they won't be successful, but you're being set up for success at least.
There's 7 new coaches going to be in the AFC out of 16 teams. 7. This is what happens in the National Football League. And if they fail, we'll start over again. I know the Dolphins have done it more often than not. But the AFC has had the same 3 teams in AFC title game for the last 16 years. It's the same teams. Try something new. And New England started over, started fresh. They got a new coach, and it's worked. Denver started over, got a new GM, got a new coach, got a new quarterback. It works. Maybe it's Miami's turn.
Here's something else, too. Who's the one name I've heard for, I don't know, probably 7 or 8 years that can't believe Miami didn't hire this guy? Can't believe he was here. We let him out the door. We should have hired this guy. Who was it, Dan Campbell?
Yep.
Would he have been a first-time head coach? Yes. Would he have had a weaker resume than Jeff Hafley does if we hired him when everyone wants to hire him? Yes. Folks, you got to chill out a little bit, boys. You got to chill out a little bit.
And do you know how many playoff wins Dan Campbell has compared to Mike McDaniel?
Oh,
does he have one?
Yeah, one. He's got one.
One.
Yeah.
Dan Campbell. Everyone loves his one playoff.
Missed the playoffs this year. He was 15-2 last year. He's out in the first round. I mean, it's not like he's going great. And the one time he did get the NFC Championship game, he's the reason they lost. So everyone's got to. I mean, that's not like he's Lombardi out there. One other thing. I will say this: the Packers pipeline to Miami is in full swing. I know some fans. Oh no, that's not, folks. It's going to happen. Malik Willis. I'm not going to say it's going to happen for sure. But I would not be shocked that first week in March or the second week in March, whenever they start free agency, a nice 2 to 3 year deal. Not going to be, it'll be a nice contract. They're not going to overpay him. And trust me, they will find money to pay him. It's not once they move on from Tua, however they do it. Once they move on from Chubb, once they probably move on from Minka. Don't be shocked if they trade Waddle to open up money either. Because if you listen to John Eric Sullivan yesterday when he spoke to the in-house Miami Dolphins team, when he was talking about the young players, he didn't mention Waddle. The host had to say Waddle. Oh, yeah, to Waddle. So, I mean, might have been just a slip-up, or it might have been like, you don't consider him as a long-term here. But they'll make money for one guy, and I think it's going to be Willis to be that bridge quarterback. It's not going to be – it could be Quinn Ewers, but I think it's going to be Willis because the people here now – they didn't pick Quinn in the draft. They had nothing. They got no ties to Quinn. He had a nice 3-game stretch at the end of it. Nice. It's not going nuts. It was nice. But you know what? Get Malik. He'll get us through 2 seasons. Next year, we'll take someone in round 1. Maybe they play right away. Maybe they don't. But we're going to have this guy here. I think that's what's happening. I'd be shocked if it doesn't happen, honestly.
And the Dolphins have had resets before, but they have not had a complete reset. Yes, in 2019, they wanted to tank for Tua and start over and get all these draft picks. They still had the same guy running the organization. It's the same guy. Same guy had his finger on the button, the pulse the entire time. This is a complete reset. Like I said, new coach, new GM, new quarterback. It's a complete reset. And you're not wrong about Waddle and these guys. John Eric Sullivan did not draft. This is his team now. He has no allegiance to anybody on that team. And if you're going to do a reset, now I would keep Waddle because I think Waddle is fine and a good piece to have. But he has no allegiance to anybody on this team. Everybody's literally could be cut at any, it's going to cost money. But we talked about Malik Willis weeks ago when he took over for Jordan Love, when Jordan Love got injured and he looked good. He's somebody that I would hire and sign as a bridge. I was asked on a podcast earlier today, if you go ahead and get Hafley, do you think you'll get Malik Willis? And I said, I wouldn't mind that. It's a bridge. He's not going to be the quarterback of the Miami Dolphins for the next 10 years, but it is a bridge to find out what you have in the future. And you got to do it because this GM, like you said, he has no allegiance to Quinn Ewers. And what did Quinn Ewers prove over the last 4 weeks of the season? That he's a serviceable backup quarterback. That's it. So
Yeah, and
new
no one,
GM, clean slate.
and they're not going to come in here and tank in year one. That's not happening. Plus, this owner won't let them do it because the last time, look what happened.
Got in trouble.
It was a wink and a nod, and it all hell broke loose. No one's coming here to tank. They're gonna build this the right way. And these guys are coming from the Packers, who've had 30 years of success, and this guy's been there since 2003 and seen most of it. So I have no problem with it. When it comes to his staff, we don't know what's going to happen, but you can read the tea leaves a little bit here. And here's a few things. Number one, we don't know if Hafley's going to call the plays on defense. He might not. I don't know. There's a chance they could keep Weaver. Now, Weaver's got 2 second interviews, one with Pittsburgh, one with Baltimore. He could get hired there. If Weaver doesn't, though, he runs a similar style than Hafley's. They're very close. So he could keep Weaver. I don't think it's happening. Stranger things have happened, though. They brought in Kelvin. What's that? Yeah.
It'd be tough to be the DC for a couple of years and have a new head coach that's a DC. That's just tough. So
yeah,
I don't think
it'd be tough. I don't see it happening, but again, crazier things have happened.
Mm-hmm.
Kelvin Shepard, they brought in here for head coaching interview. Why are they bringing in Kelvin Shepard? Why are they bringing in Anthony Campanelli? Why are they bringing in Patrick Graham? Well, there's a few reasons why. I think with Patrick Graham, obviously Pete Carroll's out in Las Vegas. And if the new head coach they hire doesn't want him, say they hire Minter. Well, he's not probably want Patrick Graham around. Patrick Graham, I think, who also went through 1 year with the Packers not too long ago, not the same time as Hafley, but the same time as John Eric Sullivan. There could be a match there where maybe he comes in and he's your coordinator on defense. Could happen. Shepard and Anthony Campanelli, they are already coordinators, but if you gave them the title of assistant head coach, would they come here, run the defense, be assistant head coach? I don't know. That really comes down to whether Hafley is going to call the plays or not. I don't know. What's more likely is this. Tim Labuca, linebacker coach in Jacksonville, which might have been the reason they wanted to meet with Anthony Campanelli to pick his brain on this guy, was a linebackers coach at Boston College when Hafley was there. Many feel it's his time to sort of be ready to be an NFL defensive coordinator. I could see Tim Labuca, I believe that's how it's pronounced, leaving Jacksonville as a linebackers coach to come here as a defensive coordinator, worked with Hafley before. Makes a lot of sense. Another name to keep an eye on, this one might be more likely, is Sean Dugan, who is a linebackers coach with the Packers right now. Mm-hmm. And he's another guy many think is ready to become a coordinator. So those are kind of the names, probably Tim Labuca or Sean Dugan, 2 linebackers coaches currently, both worked with Hafley previously. And Sean's working with him now, could come here to be a coordinator on defense. For offensive coordinator, it's less likely. One name that's out there is Adam Stenovich. He's the offensive coordinator of the Packers, but he doesn't call the plays, I believe. So if you let him call plays, then you'd probably be able to leave. I think the Packers will go, sure, because you are calling the plays. So it would be a promotion. And he's also previously a Packers offensive line coach as well. So you got him there. The other name to keep an eye on, I think this one's probably more likely maybe, is the Cowboys quarterbacks coach, Steve Shimko, who was the quarterbacks coach and offensive coordinator with Hafley at Boston College. That staff of Boston College, you can say what you want. They've all got big jobs in the NFL since leaving there.
They do.
So he put together a hell of a staff, and now he might be putting that whole band back together. And again, if you're just looking at the record of Boston College, as I said with Tom last night, no NIL collective. You're in the Northeast. You're not going to get kids from Maine and Vermont to compete with kids from Florida. Right. And, facility-wise, it's not the best. And what I think is kind of the funniest thing is this. Who's their uniform manufacturer? It's not Nike, not Adidas, not Under Armour. It's freaking New Balance. How much money do you think they're getting from New Balance, Dave?
I've been to that stadium. I've seen a game there. I've been there for football and basketball, and it's the bottom of the barrel. It's not good facilities. You're 35 miles west of Boston, almost a forgotten thing out there, and you're not going to get the kids in Miami, Florida, Louisiana, Texas to come to Chestnut Hill, Massachusetts to play football. It's not a really good place, but like you said, he's had 2 of the top classes they ever had there. So I don't worry about the record. I worry about I look at what he did there, and they improved across the board, and look what they're doing now since he's left. I think the experience there is what he'll bring, and if he's putting the band back together, that's fine. I would like him, and there's no ties, but I would like him to go get an established offense coordinator. I'm just throwing names out there. if Joe Brady doesn't get a head coaching job, he now doesn't need to stay in Buffalo as McDermott's
That was the name I
gone.
mentioned this morning. Yeah, that was the name I mentioned.
Maybe throw him out there. And while I believe, and I'm a fan of this guy, I'm a big fan of this guy, and while I believe he will be a head coach, he's no longer has a job. Matt Nagy is a hell of a play caller, a hell of an OC. He's someone that wants to be a head coach again. He's been a head coach before. He was someone that I wouldn't have minded if the Dolphins brought in to be a head coach. Met with him, talked to him a couple of times the last couple of Super Bowls. I think he'd be outstanding hire because then Hafley doesn't have to worry about the offense. Now, some people would say, well, is he good because of Pat Mahomes? He also took the Chicago Bears to 12 wins, number 2 seed, and was a double doink away from being in the NFC title game. So I like Matt Nagy, and I would bring him in to be offensive coordinator.
Yeah, I would like to see at least one person on the staff who has previous head coaching experience. That's always good, I think, with a new head coach in the NFL. I think that's always good. We'll see if that happens here. I don't know. I could also see Miami with Bobby Slowick, him sort of staying on as an OC because he was an OC in Houston. He was thought of very highly up until a few years ago. And they ran him off. I don't know if that's all his fault after watching CJ Stroud last night. I don't know if that was all his fault or not, but they could keep him on as an OC. He has experience. So there's other names out there. I just gave you a few that seem kind of likely might be in the mix. We'll see probably in the next week or two what they do there. Got some super chats. Let's go. Phil Montgomery. Thank you, Phil. No Capri's, no beta boy, quarterback equals upgrade. Cheers to a new era, Mike. That's right. Cheers. Thanks, Phil. From PA Dolphins fan, way too much negativity in this fan base. Let's give the new regime a chance. I'm excited to see where this goes. That's kind of where I am. I'm kind of excited. Here's why. What we've done for the past 20 years, and it's not all Chris Greer's fault, but like at least the past 10 years, it's kind of his fault, wasn't working. What do we have to lose?
I mean, again, it's not the flashy name that's going to win over a fan base, but at the end of the day, it's more important to win football games. And I think he's done it. He's improved defenses across the board everywhere. And I think if I'm trusting the GM, because the GM's name is not Chris Grier, and he told me in August the Dolphins would be starting 2026 with a new coach and a new GM, and this is who it would be, I'd be fine with that. Because, listen, he had a better year on defense last year than they had on this year because they lost pieces in Micah Parsons and other injuries. Yeah. That defense, and listen, I do sports betting for a living, and every time I go and look at player props, I'm always avoiding taking players on the green that are playing Green Bay on offense. I always avoid players playing Green Bay defense because I've known they have a good defense. Now, it wasn't great late in the year once they lost Micah, but that is a defense that has been great for 2 seasons, and I hope he brings that to Miami.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you, PA Dolphins fan, for the Super Chat. One more we got here from our friend Patrick McMullen, who is a member of Dolphins Talk Extra. So go to patreon.com/DolphinsTalk. Join Dolphins Talk Extra. We got extra podcasts. I'm about the Dolphins, some not. We have a private message board that's really cool, less toxic than social media. And we have so many other things. We have contests and prizes. So patreon.com/DolphinsTalk. Patrick, new GM aligned with a first-time head coach. Not excited, not angry. To quote Rush, let's try to keep it short. Show me, don't tell me. I love it, Patrick. Anytime you can quote a band. That's awesome.
Quoting Rush. That's pretty good.
Quoting Rush. That is awesome. Thanks, Patrick. Yeah, I think, once again, fans, you got to keep this stuff. What Miami did was, and this is what the whole Troy Aikman thing was sort of preached. It came out because he said it. Don't believe me. He said it on a radio show in Dallas. Alignment. These front offices need to be aligned. And you can just look at the Dolphins where it's gone wrong for a long time. Nobody's ever aligned. Everyone's got their own agenda. Mike Tannenbaum had his agenda. Hickey had his agenda. Jeff Ireland has his agenda. Parcells had his agenda. No one was ever aligned. Everyone, it was like survival of the fittest. It was, Flores versus Greer. Adam Gase versus Tannenbaum and Greer. No one ever agreed on anything. It was always a fight. That's why Chris Greer would get up there and say, well, I just tell whatever he asked me for the head coach, I just find it for him. Well, no, that's not your job, asshole. Your job's to do your job. And when John Eric Sullivan met yesterday with the Dolphins there, that little in-house thing I keep mentioning, he goes, I make the ultimate. And he goes, it's not up for a vote. They paid me to make decisions. I'm making decisions. Good. Thank you. That's what we're waiting to hear. And we got someone finally here.
He doesn't want a smart tank. He wants decisions.
I'll make the decisions. Yeah.
Not a group think. Go out there, make the call. He's the guy.
Everyone can tell me what you want, but at the end of the day, I'm going to make the decision because that's what they paid me for. And he's right. That's his job. So they were going to stink next year regardless. So if they go next year 4-13, I don't want to hear this guy's a bad. I mean, he might be a bad coach. I don't know, but I'm not pinning next year on anybody because next year their cap is so bad, and they're probably not going to have a great quarterback unless they pull off a miracle of some sort. Even with Willis, we don't know how good he truly is. It's just you would go pay him just so you don't go like 0-17 type deal. You're paying him to go like 6-10, honestly, or maybe a little better. But yeah, so we'll see what they do. I don't hate this. I actually kind of like it because I want boring. Mike McDaniel, those first couple of years was fun. It was kind of cool. It was fun. Okay, this was fun. But then it got weird. It got really weird. It got strange at times. It got odd. And it's like, you know what? Just give me boring. Here's the deal. Jeff Hafley's not wearing fancy sneakers. He's not wearing fancy sneakers. He's probably wearing Skechers or New Balance if he's got a couple of free runs.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing, Mike. I don't care what shoes people wear. I don't care
what his haircut is either.
I don't care what his haircut is. And here's the thing. People have asked me that Mike McDaniel question time and time again, and my answer stays the same. When they were winning, it was cool. It was cute. It was funny. Hard Knocks. It was great. It was lovely. When they were losing, it wasn't funny anymore. His press conferences went from, hey, that's funny, to, can he complete a sentence? Ultimately, it doesn't matter. Just win football games. You know what? I give him credit because he won 7 games with a team that had no business winning 7 games. And now he's a candidate for a head coach at a half a dozen teams. So I wish Mike the best of luck. There was a time to move on. And I don't really care what the guy wears, what his haircut is. I want him to win football games. And that's what this guy's going to do, hopefully. And it may not happen year 1. It might not. They have a terrible cap situation, as you said. They don't know who their quarterback's going to be. And you know what? Mike McDaniel had a quarterback. He had a first-round quarterback for all 4 years of his tenure, and they won 0 playoff games. So let this guy come in here and get his own quarterback.
Yeah, that's what this is about. This isn't like half reset. This is really a total reset. I don't think some fans understand this. This is blow it up. We'll keep the guys that are worth something, but you're going to see a lot of turnover. Some of these guys in this team who some fans like fall in love with, they're going to be gone. They're going to be gone quick. And this is going to be a new era of Dolphins football. And Jeff Hafley's the coach. And, I have optimism right now. And maybe in, 24 months I won't. And guess what? If I'm allowed to change my mind when I see the results. And in 24 months, if we stink, I'll be the first one here screaming and yelling about it. But right now, I am okay because, like I said, everyone wanted Hafley. Everyone wanted this guy.
25 months ago, Mike McDaniel could have run for governor of Florida. The team was playing for first place in the AFC and a home field advantage throughout the playoffs in Baltimore. We were thinking that we had our next Don Shula. He was going to be here for 30 years. And 25 months later, he's gone, and you're starting over again. That's how quick it happens in the National Football League. And listen, you're right. Everybody wanted Hafley. I just read a quote in one of the on Twitter about he had canceled 3 more interviews. Everybody wanted him for a second interview. You can't say that for every single guy. You can't.
If he went to the Titans tomorrow like scheduled, he might have turned us down. He would look at the Titans. Well, I got Cam Ward. You're about to open a whole new stadium. Don't got to worry about the salary cap. Hey, John Eric, I love you and all, but I got a new lover over here, and it's called the Tennessee. He might have not come back to Miami if we let him go to Tennessee. So is what it is. We'll have more shows about this here at the DolphinsTalk.com podcast network. We'll have more articles up on the website for sure. I know we got a couple up already. Check that out. Follow David Behrman at David Berman. Dave, tell everyone where they can find your gambling stuff. And look, if you're watching this live, you still got like an hour and a half or so before Miami plays Indiana. Tell them where they can get your information on that game.
I have my newsletter, BehrmanBets.com. Betting with Behrman newsletter is out there. I got a total tonight for the game. I got to play on that, as well as an early AFC and NFC title preview. They're both in there. NBA game tonight, NHL game tonight, all at the BehrmanBets.com. Go sign up for that. Monday, Mike, it's free. Free Monday. The entire newsletter is free. All it needs is your email address to sign up. Wednesday and Friday, you get a pick for free, and the rest of the newsletter is premium. But hey, if you sign up right now, you got an hour to go before the game, and you can get NBA, NHL, college football, and early look at both conference title games, which is what, the 42nd consecutive year Miami's not playing in one. So
yeah, 1993 was 1992 season. 1993 is when the game was played in January. We did get one more super chat here right before we're signing off. I'm going to read this from Mr. McDolphin. Thank you. Offensive coordinator Sean Mannion, quarterback Malik Willis. Let's effing go. Green Bay South. That's one more name I didn't mention who could be in play. for the offensive coordinator, Sean Mannion as well. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of names. I think we'll find out relatively quick because here's the deal. These Packers guys are pretty loyal to each other. they ride in a pack. I think they're pretty loyal to each other. So I think we're going to know relatively quick what's going on with his staff, at least in the key spots.
Well, they're going to have to do it quick because you're going to have the biggest game of musical chairs you've ever seen in the National Football League over the next couple of weeks because you got 10 openings. Some of the biggest names, head coaches in football, are going to bring their entire – I mean, John Harbaugh was there 18 years. Mike Tomlin was there 19 years.
Yeah.
These guys have guys. So when these guys start getting hired, if McDermott goes somewhere else, it's going to be an epic game of musical chairs all around the NFL. And Hafley wants his guys. He's got to get them now. And I'll leave you with this, Mike. There are worse things to be called than Green Bay South.
I'll take it. If we can have their success, I'll take it.
Check mark.
Because
like,
to me, it's not even about like, yes, I want to see them win a Super Bowl in my lifetime, of course. But if we could just be relevant every year, I'll just take that right now. Put me in the playoffs every year. Maybe win a couple divisions. Maybe win a few playoff games. Let me have fun watching these games in January. Right. And yes, let me have a couple heartbreaks in there too. That's the fun of being a sports fan, the roller coaster of emotions. But we're not even relevant. We're sitting on the sidelines.
I watched the Rams-Bears game yesterday. My brother-in-law is in LA, big Rams fan. I have a lot of money on the Rams to win the Super Bowl, Stafford to win MVP. I had Puka and Kyron on my fantasy teams. I've watched every Rams game this year, just like I watch every Dolphin game. I had a shit ton of fun watching that game yesterday.
It was awesome.
I even said to my son after the game, I go, because he called his uncle and all excited that the Rams won. I'm like, why can't the Dolphins be like this? Like, it was fun yesterday watching that game. I hadn't been that into a playoff game because the Dolphins don't. I mean, yeah, they got close with Skylar Thompson in Buffalo, but that more or less ruined my night than anything else. That was a fun game, but like you don't get that anymore with the Miami Dolphins. Do I get it with Gator basketball? Yes. Do I get it with the Florida Panthers? Sure. But like that was as exciting of a football game as I've watched as a fan with interest in a long time. And if it's Green Bay making the 7 seed 3 straight years and pulling off an upset like they did 2 years ago against, I believe it was Philly, sign me up. Give it to me.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Didn't they go play at the Cowboys a couple years ago and run for like 250 yards and beat the balls off the Cowboys like round one of the playoffs?
That was the upset. They
killed them. Yeah.
Yeah. They've had 3 straight 2 seeds, and I know they 3 straight 7 seeds in the playoffs. And I'm pretty sure they had one upset, and I believe it was the Cowboys. I can look it up for you real quick.
Yeah, it's a new era of Dolphins football. It's not going to be built overnight, but let's have some faith here that these guys kind of got a plan in place. They're going to execute the plan. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, but I'm here for the ride because the one thing we've all said is the Chris Greer way wasn't working. Mike McDaniel got too weird. It was time for something new. Ross, I would have fired him on Monday. They waited till Thursday. That's fine. I don't care. He got to the right spot. That's all I care about. And I want to thank Troy Aikman for this process. Troy, you are an honorary member of the Miami Dolphins. And if they sold your beer, 8 beer up by me, I'd buy a 6-pack right now.
The Green Bay Packers went into Dallas and scored 48 points. Then they went into San Francisco and had a 21-14 lead going into the fourth quarter in San Francisco, the same Niners team that went to the Super Bowl and lost to Kansas City. So if the barometer of Green Bay South is you win a first-round playoff game and you have the lead at the 1 seed going into the fourth quarter, sign me up.
I'll so take it. Yeah, there's one more point I was going to mention, but I totally forgot. Slipped my mind. Either way, I'm sure I'll have it by tomorrow's show or whenever. So, yeah, Jeff Hafley, new member of the Dolphins. Folks, check out the website, DolphinsTalk.com. Follow us on all the social media channels at DolphinsTalk. We'll talk to you again after a while. Enjoy the national championship game tonight. I know we got a lot of Hurricanes fans watching. I don't know how it's going to go, but if it makes you happy, I'm rooting for you. And if you're a fan of Indiana, I hope it works out for you too. I really don't care who wins, but everyone watching that game, hope it works out for whichever way you're rooting. Don't yell at me. I'm not picking anybody. Everyone have a great day, and we'll talk to you again after a while.